Hello friends, welcome to video on state executive. In this video we will study about governor, chief minister and council of minister. So let's begin. State executive. State executive is basically, it includes, right, governor and council of minister with chief minister. It is legislature that we will do later. First it is about executive. So governor is also part of executive and he's part of legislature also, as he has to give assent on the law that is passed in the house, right? So let's move further. Council of ministers. We talk about council of ministers. Head of the council of minister is chief minister, right? And in council of minister there are three kind of ministers: cabinet ministers, minister of states, and then deputy ministers. So all these form council of ministers. Council of ministers cannot be more than 50% of total seats in the assembly. State executive: governor, CM, chief minister and council of ministers. In the Republic of India, a chief minister is elected head of the government of each state out of 28 states, right? And sometimes a union territory also, as in the case of Delhi and Puducherry. According to the Constitution of India, the governor is the state's head, but de facto executive authority rests with the chief minister, right? Here, keep in mind, governor is the head of the states or head of the government. In case of as subnational government, it is, right? But de facto power or de facto executive, in reality, the de facto means in reality the power that lies with the council of minister, that is headed by chief minister. And following election to the state legislative assembly, which is known as Vidhan Sabha also in a state, the state governor usually invites the party with the majority seats to form government. Okay? Following election means after the elections, governor invites that party chief or party president which has won majority seat in the legislative assembly elections, and to whom governor deems fit to secure majority if it is hung house. The governor appoints and swears in the chief ministers. It means गवर्नर अपॉइंट करता है और सौगंध उठवाता है, ओथ दिलवाता है चीफ मिनिस्टर को, whose council ministers are collectively responsible to the assembly based on the Westminster system, यानी कि parliamentary system. इसको Westminster system भी कहा जाता है because parliament in England is also known as Westminster system, as it is situated on that road, Westminster road, where people, ministers, all houses are situated. Given that he retains the confidence of the assembly, right? Given that, see, council of minister will remain in power till it retains the confidence of the assembly. Chief minister's term can last for the length of assembly's life, that is maximum 5 years, or can be changed and between also. So there is no limit of the number of terms that chief minister can serve. A chief minister heads a state government council of minister and can be deputed in that role by deputy chief minister also, right? Chief minister can uh, chief minister generally selects the state's chief secretary and also can allot departments as per his own wish to the cabinet ministers, right? He recommends, basically advises governors to assign, to allot different departments to the ministers of the cabinet rank and also to the minister of states, right? So also he also directs chief secretary to transfer, suspend and promote officers of his state. Now, state government, state executive, in this we are going to read some important articles related to this, then appointment of the governor, and then special power of the governor, and the 7th constitutional amendment, 74th in fact, 7th constitutional amendment, right, and the chief minister and the council of ministers and the appointment of the chief minister we are going to do in detail. So important articles related to state executives are 153 to 160, it is about the governor, 163 to 164, it is about the council of ministers, and 165, it is about the advocate general of the states, and 166 to 167 it is about the conduct of the business of the government, right? So these are important articles to keep in mind. Let's move further. Appointment of the governor. Article 153 of the Indian Constitution says that each state of the nation should have a governor. The governor is appointed by the president. Under 7th constitutional amendment, it was stated that there can be the same governor for two states also, right? Or there can be one governor that is for the state and can be at the same time for union territory also, lieutenant governor for state government also, or he would be the governor for a union territory, right? The qualification, but keep in mind, union territories normally has lieutenant governor or an administrator, but in the case where there is governor, then that governor is given that power to govern that union territory also if it is attached with the state, right? So qualification that one needs to be eligible for a governor of states are as follows. He must be citizen of the country, right? Number one. Number two, he should be 35 years age and above, and once a governor is selected, he shall be appointed to state where he belongs. He shall not be where he belongs, he shall not be, right? And consult the chief ministers of the state. Yeah, he'll where he is going to be appointed, that state's chief minister is also consulted. Special power, or the powers of the governor. So powers of the governor that are granted to him by Indian Constitution can be broadly classified four categories. They are executive power, legislative powers, financial power, and judicial power. If we talk about executive power, some of the executive powers of the governors are: he is responsible for the appointment of the advocate general of the states, also determines the remuneration of him, and then he appoints chief minister, and on his advice he appoints other ministers, right? So these are the executive power of the governor. Let's move. And he acts as the president's agent also during president's rule. Keep in mind, as an agent of the president, and he wields all the executive power in the state during emergency. Every executive action taken by the state government is to be taken in his name. And this, even chief minister and council minister, whatever they do in the name of the governor. Now, legislative powers. Some of the legislative powers of the governor are: governor may or may not send a bill to the state legislature concerning any bill that is pending in the state legislature, and the state legislature is addressed by him in the first session of every year and also after the first elections, right? The governor appoints persons to preside over the session in the first speaker and then deputy speakers, legislative assembly, right? So these are the legislative powers. Along with that, he gives his assent to the bills passed in the house, and uh, keep some bill, in reserve, uh, to be given assent by the president, right? He has the authority to consult election commission also. Regarding the disqualification of the member, he consults election commission. Financial powers. Some of the financial powers the governors are: the governor looks over the budget being laid in the legislature. जैसे राष्ट्रपति जो बजट को पेश करवाते हैं सेम वे गवर्नर पेश करवाते हैं, राइट. सो ही वो देखते हैं कि प्रेजेंट किया जाता है सही टाइम पे करना है. ही मेक्स द एडवांसेस टू मीट अनफोर्सिन एक्सपेंडिचर्स फ्रॉम कंटिजेंसी फंड. जो इमरजेंसी का फंड होता है उससे वो एडवांस में पैसा देते हैं सरकार को खर्च करने के लिए, राइट. एवरी 5 years द स्टेट फाइनेंस कमीशन इज कॉन्स्टिट्यूट बाय हिम. और फाइनेंस कमीशन भी उन्हीं के द्वारा हर 5 साल में वो फाइनेंस कमीशन बनाया जाता है. देन वी हैव जुडिशियल पावर हियर. Some of the judicial powers the governors are his recommendation is sought by the president before the appointment of high court justices. High court judges का appointment राष्ट्रपति करते हैं, पर एडवाइस लेते हैं इनसे, रिकमेंडेशन लेते हैं गवर्नर से. देन in consultation with the state high court, the governor makes appointments, postings and promotion of the district judges also, and he also appoints person to the judicial service with the consultation of the state high court and state public service commission. So these are the appointments regarding judicial powers he makes. And in some cases also, right, he has some power of condoning and pardoning, right. Then we have this 7th Amendment. Some of the most comprehensive changes in the Indian Constitution were brought in by 7th Constitutional Amendment back in 1956. So this was very important from governor's powers point of view. It was exclusively designed to implement the state's Reorganization Act. So amendment were made in these articles. Keep in mind, right? Then some of the changes that were brought forward by this amendment was it allowed 2 different states to have same governor. So as per those changes in those articles, 2 different states but 1 governor. It provided for the maximum of 500 members directly elected from territorial constituencies in states, and maximum 20 members chosen for the union territories to Lok Sabha also. So allowed a common high court for the 2 states, and the maximum strength of legislative council of the states raised from 1/4 to 1/3 of the strength of legislative assembly. So these were the amendments power. It relaxed the complete ban on the practice by retired judges to high court also. So now after the government's power, we are going to study the chief minister and council of ministers, their power functions as well, right. Once the legislative assembly elections of particular state get over, the party that gets the majority or the largest mandate by the people of the state gets elected to rule the state. The leader of that party is appointed as the chief minister by the governor. So council of minister and chief minister is appointed by the governor as per articles 74 and 75 of the Indian Constitution. Council of ministers, these articles deal with the council of ministers basically. The council of ministers is headed by the prime minister, as in the country. So CM, chief minister of the state. The salaries and the allowances of the council of ministers are decided by the legislative assembly itself. In center, it is by parliament. Appointment of chief minister. The particulars of the chief minister's appointment are not mentioned in the constitution. However, on one thing that is absolute is that chief minister of state is appointed by the governor of the state, right. Who appoints chief minister? The governor. But whom? The leader of the political party which gets majority of the votes, right. In case no party gets majority, then the governor gets to use his discretionary power to appoint chief minister. He sees the person who will be able to secure majority, then he appoints that person. Then oath of the chief ministers. The chief minister takes an oath in the presence of the governor of the state before entering the office. As mentioned in third schedule, while the taking the oath, she has to say the I, ABCD, do swear in the name of the God that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established. Right? I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, that I will faithfully and conscientiously discharge my duties as minister for the union or the state. That is the case here. That I will do right to all. I will do right to all manner of people in according with the constitution and law, without fear of favor, affection, or ill will. So this is how oath is taken by the minister and the chief minister, council of minister and the chief minister. Then power of the chief ministers. Being the leader of the ruling party of the state, chief minister has been granted some powers by the Indian constitution. Some of the powers of the minister are as below. Number one, he is the head of the council of ministers. Chief minister is the head of the council of ministers, and the ministers are appointed by the governor on द एडवाइस ऑफ द चीफ मिनिस्टर कहता है इस आदमी को अपॉइंट करवाइए, उसका लिस्ट भेजा जाता है गवर्नर को, एंड अकॉर्डिंगली गवर्नर हैज़ टू डू दैट. द चीफ मिनिस्टर कैन रिकंस्ट्रक्ट हिज मिनिस्ट्री. जब चाहे वो किसी मिनिस्ट्री को मंत्री को हटवाकर नया बना सकता है, नया मंत्री अपॉइंट कर सकता है. Then he further has the right to demand the resignation of any ministers under him. Chief Minister also controls the agenda for the cabinet meetings, and further he supervises and coordinates policies of the several ministers and departments. Then aid and advice to the governor. Basically, he is the link between the cabinet and the governor, and the decision of the council of ministers are communicated to the governor by chief minister. He also needs to furnish any information relating to the administration of the test as the governor may call for. जो information मांगता है governor को वो देते हैं वो. और in fact reality में most of the time it happens that he governor act as a advisor to the CM in most of the cases, though the rule is otherwise. Leader of the House. Being the leader of the House, he gets to make all the announcements concerning the new and amendment policies. Maintaining discipline of the member of his party also comes under his hat. So, leader of the House he maintains disciplines, he announces all the policies. Adding to this, chief minister can appoint a whip whose directive must be obeyed by all the legislators. Whip भी appoint करते हैं. whip वो होता है जो कंट्रोल करता है मिनिस्टर्स की फंक्शनिंग को, मिनिस्टर्स के ने किस तरह से बिहेव करना हाउस में. वो ये एक्चुअली एक ऑफिसर कह सकते हैं हम. लेजिस्लेशन अपने असेंबली में होते हैं और पार्टीज़ अपने अपॉइंट करते हैं विप, राइट. और ये विप की अथॉरिटी चीफ मिनिस्टर की होती है जो वो अपॉइंट करते हैं, राइट. So conclusion, governor is the titular head of the constitution or the constitutional head, and at the same time he is the agent of the center as the union government. So but the real power lies with the chief minister and the council of ministers. So thank you. See you on the next video. Till then, bye. Take care. Bye bye.